Let's take you live now to Ali Shahabi, who is an author and commentator on Middle East politics. Ali Shahabi, thank you for being with us. I ran there through some of the potential options, but that's all they are at this point. We know the Israeli Prime Minister has strongly opposed to that. That's no change in his long-held stance. But I wonder what a possible two-state solution could look like.
Look, a lot of thinking has gone into that. And I think, the contours of the 1967 borders are a starting point, and adjustments can be made. But the most important thing really is to ensure security for both parties, not just the Israelis, but also for the Palestinians, and secure protection for them from Israeli military abuse, particularly if you look at what's happening in the West Bank. So I think that will be a foundation of a state more than the exact perimeters where adjustments have been discussed for the last 20, 25 years. But the most important thing will be to ensure that the Israelis can't go into Palestinian areas and, abuse people as they want, which they seem to be doing now.
As we said in that introduction, no great surprise to hear these comments from the Israeli Prime Minister. This is something he said before. But I wonder what the motivation of these comments right now are. Is this about shoring up his domestic base? We know he is unpopular domestically. Is this trying to appease the right wing, the hardliners within his party? Or is this something greater? Is this about speaking to the international community? The US, for example, offering its unconditional support. But in the face of these comments, could that support change?
Well, you would have thought that the American administration, with over decades of experience among its key players dealing with Mr. Netanyahu, would have known that, verbal pressure itself will not lead to anything. And he is a master at waiting the clock out for the US electoral cycle to change realities for him.
Yes, and so if there is a new resident in the White House later this year, what is your assessment of what would change?
Well, that's an open. If Mr. Trump came in, nobody knows really. I mean, he was very eager to reach a peace solution last time around. So you never know, and I think it's a joker in the pack. But currently, I mean, if America restricts its pressure on Netanyahu to verbal pressure, nothing's going to happen. And we have a very short window until maybe May. So unless America, squeezes Israel, particularly on military aid, Netanyahu is going to wait this thing out, and it's all going to be talk rather than substance.
We also know key players in the region have been flexing their military muscle of late. I'm thinking particularly, of course, about Iran. We know, of course, in recent days we've talked about those attacks both within Pakistan and in Iran itself. Where does this leave Saudi Arabia in this big picture? It is a huge political player in the region. It has deep pockets. It has offered to mediate in some of these talks. I wonder what role Saudi Arabia plays, given what we've heard from the Israeli Prime Minister.
Well, Saudi Arabia has been very active diplomatically. Its Saudi foreign minister has gone, half across the world to visit capitals to explain the need for a ceasefire. And they've been very active with the Americans also. The Saudi card of normalization is really and probably the major incentive that the Americans have to use to pressure Israel into some sort of solution. So Saudi Arabia has been very involved and very concerned, obviously. Not just, with what's happening in Gaza, but what's happening in the Red Sea with the Houthis. So it is a very concerning time for everybody.
Yes, and as you say that, I just want to take viewers and stay with us, Ali Shahabi. I just want to show pictures of Sana'a, the Yemeni capital. A huge protest there once again. We've seen these sorts of displays of support. These are supporters of the Houthi movement. They are taking part in this huge protest. Once again, of course, sending a message to the United States. This coming after the US and its allies relisting the Houthi rebel group as a terrorist group. They say that is in response to those ongoing attacks on shipping in the Red Sea. And so these pictures give us a sense of perhaps some of the support there in the Yemeni capital, Sana'a. And Ali Shahabi, let me bring you back in at this point, because I wonder, given what we've seen right around the region and Iran's support for those Houthi rebels, we keep talking about whether this conflict between Israel and Gaza has the potential to spill over into these greater flashpoints. But is it your assessment that this is just the key players in the region flexing their military might and reminding the world that they are there and that they have a role to play in what happens next?
Well, look, as usual, the Iranians and their subcontractors are taking advantage of the Palestinian problem. So the Houthis are using this to augment their domestic situation, which is very precarious, their economic situation domestically, which is very precarious. They're distracting their people, and they're really, everything they're doing has very little impact on Israel, if at all. But it has an impact on Arab countries in the Red Sea, and it has impact on global shipping. And the Iranians are using them to show their reach, really, as they are elsewhere in the region. So Iran is a problematic player, unfortunately.
Really grateful for your time. It's been fascinating to get your insight into where all of this leaves us. That's Ali Shihabi there, author and commentator on the politics and economics of Saudi Arabia. Grateful for your time and thank you for being with us.